Hello. Okay, it's working. Hi, sorry. I thought I had muted my audio, but I guess I didn't. I was experimenting with some chatting vibes. Hold on. Welcome on in, everyone. How are we all doing today? I need a better background. What do y'all— also, why is my owl floating off the side of the chair? Hold on. Goodness, everything is so funny these days, isn't it? Hello! Deeda just subscribed with— oh my god, thank you! 31 oh my god. Thank you so much, Deeda. First person in chat, introducing us all to the Brat Chat, emote, which is really funny, and a tier 1 sub. Oh my goodness, amazing. Thank you so much. I want to switch my charity. I have to remember to do that. Somebody remind me to do that. Of course UNICEF does good work. I just think we've been, it'd be good to change it up. We've raised a good amount of money for them, which I'm very happy and grateful to you all for. And I don't know. I like to spread the wealth. But anyway, I'll have to figure out something. There's so much going on in the world. There are so many good causes. It's hard to know. I want to just, I wish I had endless money to send it to endless charities. Anyway, thank you, Deeda. Thank you so much for the sub. Welcome on in, everyone. You want the jazz? Y'all like jazz? I wanted to... It is chill, isn't it? Is it loud? It's super loud. Hold on. We got some chill jazz going. I'll catch up on chat. Welcome on in, Martine. Wee! Happy Sunday. Hello, Caitlin. How are you? Sleepy and fatigued. It's like... That sounds like a comedy duo right there. We're cousins. Did you steal a book from work? Amazing. The Martian, I've never read. The Hail Mary Project, I've also never read. The only Andy Weir book I've read is Artemis, which was fine. The Martian has a really good... as much as I hate to say it, I've never read the book, but I've seen The Martian, the movie, and it's actually really good. So Martine, I recommend, if you like The Martian, check out the movie afterwards. Ilonme, good morning. It is too early. Please go back to sleep. I hope the soothing, smooth jazz vibes will send you back on your merry way to dreamland. But it's good to see you. I hope you're doing well. The call of stream was too strong. Yeah, I know. I mean, you heard a hoot outside your bedroom window and you couldn't stay away. Sorry about the jazz. Lord, the owl giveth and the owl taketh away. You're just used to waking up 6 every day. Yeah, I woke up yesterday morning at 6:30 for no reason. Absolutely no reason. And did I do anything with that extra time? No, of course not. But that's okay. Because life isn't always about doing things, right, Chad? Jazz was so strong it crashed your laptop and you came back just to sub. Amazing. You are getting on in stream years. You're like, well, you're basically ready to go to preschool at this point. We have so much history. Stop! Wait, I hate that. Oh, that's so scary. 3 years of streaming? And I don't even know what I'm gonna do for my streamerversary. I've been thinking about it. I feel like I should do something, but I can't. Like, I can't handle the stress of a big stream like the last 2 years because I still haven't done everything I said I was gonna do. So, we'll figure something out. The Martian is fun. Oh, you've already seen it or read it? Hail Mary, you saw a trailer before Superman. I mean, that's a great trailer then, if it actually... There have been so few trailers recently that actually make me want to see a movie, let alone make me want to read the book. So that's awesome. You're familiar with the movie. Perfect. Okay, perfect. I'm glad. Artemis is on your list. No, it's like... Somebody recommended Artemis to me, and I used to think that they had good book recommendations. And then I read Artemis, and it was fine. It was fine. Like, it wasn't bad, but it wasn't amazing. And between that and another book, I stopped taking book recommendations from this person because it was just fine. I do really want to brainstorm it because I really want to do something. I really want to do something, but I just don't know what. I've done enough in the past year. We finished one whole game that nobody asked for me to play. The only thing I've accomplished in the last year is finishing a game that nobody else wanted to see. And it was glorious. Because by the time I finished the game, multiple people in chat had finished it multiple times. Actually, no, you had only played it once. Dawn had finished it like 3 times by the time I finished. It was amazing. Yeah, it is that time of... August always scares me because for the last 3 years, I've been streaming in August. So August 2022, I started streaming Dragon Age Inquisition. August 2023, I was still playing Dragon Age Inquisition. But also August 23, I had the whole big thing and the whole, you know, there were people there. We raised all sorts of money. We played Ultimate Chicken? What did I even play? We played Overcooked. I played Overcooked on stream in 2023. And, I don't even remember. Oh, the milestones from that stream were like Splatoon and Mario Kart and things people wanted. And then 2024, the thing about August is I'm always going places in August, which I guess I shouldn't complain about. But it's a bad I don't know what I was thinking. Why did I decide to stream in August? I should have streamed in like December. But you'd already planned on reading it. Oh, okay, perfect. Oh, okay, so the trailer just reminded you. Nice. I remember when Project Hail Mary came out, there was a lot of buzz about it. And I remember people talking about the movie, and I never thought... I feel like they make movies so fast these days. Like, the Colleen Hoover, you know, a book comes out, and they immediately buy the right, and then you've got a movie next year, and it's like, how did anyone have time to even read the book before you started making the movie? And movies take a long time to make. So how do you... The book just comes... First of all, how do you even know it's gonna be popular? I don't understand the book world. I'll be honest. I read a lot of books, but I don't read... popular. I should really start looking at the New York Times bestseller list. I've been trying to read more recent books these days, but every time I try, there's like a 10-week wait list for the book. So I give up. I'm not gonna wait 10 weeks to read a book. If I want to read a book right now, and I go to Libby, and it tells me there are 89 people waiting in front of me. Of course, this was back when I had a New York Public Library card. Now out in the middle of nowhere, Tennessee, it's much harder to get library books. But, you know, in the good old days when 89 other people wanted to read a book, what was I supposed to do? So that's why I read books that nobody else wants to read. That's actually a legitimate reason. It's not just hyperversion. It's because if I want to read the book that everyone else is reading, I can't. So, anyway. You asked, hello, did when I started playing the Veilguard, be honest. Did you like Dragon Age? Did you care about Dragon Age? Did Inquisition win you over? I thought it was Veilguard that won you over. Artemis, it can be just okay. I get it. Okay, Martine, fair enough. Artemis is good enough. If you like Andy Weir's stuff, then Artemis is definitely good enough, you know? I remember it just being, I just remember finishing it and thinking, okay, that was a book. Not in a bad way, not in a good way. It was just like, it was serviceable, which isn't a bad thing, but it didn't inspire me. Now, if you want a book that inspired me, nobody asked. Everyone here, literally everyone here, I know that all of you would like it. Granted, it's incredibly depressing, but putting that aside, the Broken Earth trilogy by N.K. Jemisin will be the best 3 books you've ever read in your life. I'm not exaggerating. And N.K. Jemisin, the Broken Earth trilogy. It starts with the 5th season. It's literally, I mean, just putting it out there. Just putting it out there. You wanted to see me finish it? Nobody wanted to see me finish it. Excuse me. There was a period of time where I didn't want to see me finish the Veilguard, and that hurt. That really hurt. I'm so glad we got over the hump, because finishing the Veilguard was so worthwhile. It was so worthwhile. But there was a real period of time where I didn't think I was gonna finish it, and that was so sad. But we did. Before the end of the unspecified year, exactly. Good morning, Adagio, or should I say, a good morning, It's time for a Clara Obscura. It's so fast, everything moves so quickly now. I need everything to slow down. I have time for one video game a year. Okay, one video game a year. I have time for, I've been reading more, so I have time for a couple books a year. I have time for like 3 movies a year. Okay, let's be realistic. 3 movies a year, so you just can't, I have time for 1 TV show a year. Everything needs to slow down. Ew, Colleen Hoover, I know, it was the only name I could think of. It was the only name I could think of. But she is like the big, there's Colleen Hoover, and there's what's her name, Sally Rooney. See, I know things. That's all I know though. James Patterson's still out there. He's old though. Is there a trailer for the Nolan Odyssey movie? Yeah, I could have sworn they had just announced the cast. Is there a trailer now? Oh god. That one, excuse me, that one I actually really want to see. I was so anti Christopher Nolan doing the Odyssey, and then I watched Oppenheimer, finally 2 years late, and begrudgingly admitted that it was actually a good movie, even though it was 3 hours long. And so I think if he does a 3-hour Odyssey movie, I will be okay with that. I forget who's in the cast. If Timothée Chalamet's in the cast, I'm going to, like, eat paint chips in the theater. But like, you do what you gotta do. Who's playing Odysseus? I don't even remember. Waitlist? Oh yeah, Deeded. Have you never... I don't know, I guess I don't know what the situation with your library is, but even for smaller, like, even for local libraries, they might have, you know, 2 copies and 10 people waiting on each copy, and it's like, oh my god, I don't want to read this book that much. The ebook, I know, and it's like, the thing about ebooks is that it's a digital file that you can reproduce. So the thing is, I understand the problem with ebooks is that, I don't, you know, it's like, if a library buys 1 copy, and then they you know, and then, you know, they just reproduce it indefinitely, and all their patrons can check it out. That's great for the library. It's terrible for the author. But it's also crazy to me that it's like a file. And I know that the author's not benefiting from this. I know it's the distribution company. I know that limiting ebook licenses and having DRM, whatever, on all of them, like, that's not benefiting the author. That's benefiting some middleman. Yeah, Martina, I'm sure you know. I'm sure. Did you lose me? How long have I been talking? Oh god. Well, if you missed anything, I'm sure I'll say it again in a few hours. So, sorry about that. This is what happens when I get too far behind on chat. Yeah, they treat the e-copy as a physical copy, exactly. One of the 89 89 people, oh, is that where that's where I fell out? Okay. It really is upsetting though. I remember at a time when I was still in New York and I was trying to check out an ebook, and I saw, you are 89th in line, and I was like, I will never read this book. I will die before reading this book. So, yeah, that was crazy. It's crazy. So you pay for the license, you don't even pay for the book. You read the dictionary? I never read it cover to cover, but I would definitely sometimes just go and read through the dictionary, like flip through, you know, CH to, you know, DE or whatever. Many of those licenses expire? Are you kidding me? Yeah, everyone read the dictionary, Dasha. What are you talking about? Didn't we all read the dictionary as a child? That's why we're here now. Raise your hand in chat if you're not a burned out gifted kid. I mean, it's like, that's why we're here. Martine, that's actually so predatory. The library has to purchase the license after they've already purchased. So now the library's on a subscription subscription model? What am I saying? I hate the world we live in. The world we live in. It's like, it's so depressing. I'm sorry. I keep coming to the stream thinking I'm gonna be positive. And then you think about any aspect of modern life and it's just like, what are we doing here? Oh, I did go offline. I just noticed that. Wow. Sorry, I was so into whatever nonsense I was saying. It's wonderful. I feel like I'm in another world. Yeah, Martine, I really do appreciate the library knowledge you have. It's wonderful. Cold feet. I don't know if I'd call it cold feet. I think I got 40 hours into the game and decided that I couldn't romance Davrin and made myself really unhappy for some reason. And then I realized that it was okay and that the game was still worth playing. I don't know how other people feel if you play role-playing games where you make a choice and then you're unhappy with that choice, but you feel committed to it. And then, like, that's what happened with me in Baldur's Gate. That's why I stopped playing Baldur's Gate. Because I had made a role-playing choice that I was no longer happy with, but I felt too committed to it to back out. And so it's been a year since I played Baldur's Gate. But one day, I think we'll go back to Baldur's Gate. I think we will. 3 movies a year and 2 of them are Vertigo. No, sorry, 1 of them is Vertigo, 1 of them is Rope, obviously. Gotta leave room for that one. And so I really get 1 movie a year, and I want it to be Superman. I'd like to see Superman. How is there already a trailer? That's crazy. It's crazy. It's all filmed in the volume, I bet. Yeah, most of Adaja, I'm glad you mentioned that. Because James Patterson doesn't write his own books. I hate Timothy Chalamet, everyone knows this. Local library's a long drive, yeah. Well then, Deeded, you should know about ebooks, because you can check out ebooks online. Isn't that nice? It's Tom Holland? I can't, somebody asked me, I had a really funny conversation recently, where I was talking about, so, one of my really close friends' boyfriend, is great. I've accepted him. It's fine. Like, it's fine. He's in her life. Like, that's it. You know, he's good. But I never know what to talk about. So we always end up talking about movies whenever we get together. And he really doesn't like that I don't like Matt Damon. Like, he gets really defensive whenever I say I don't get good vibes from Matt Damon, or I don't think Matt Damon is a good actor, or I don't think Matt Damon is attractive. Does anyone here think Matt Damon is attractive? Anyway, besides the point. Does anyone here think Brad Pitt is attractive? I know this is I know that this is not a representative audience of the general population, but still, anyway. I think Matt Damon looks like he's like a blockhead in not like the figurative sense of the word, but literally, he looks like a cement block. Anyway, the point is, so I was explaining all of the actors that I didn't like to my friend's boyfriend, watching like the light leave his eyes as I ticked off all of these names. And of course Timothy Chalamet was one of the first ones to come up. But then I think he asked me how I felt about Tom Holland, and I said I feel literally nothing looking at Tom Holland. Like, looking at Tom Holland and looking at like a rubber band, I don't even know, like looking at like an empty plastic cup and looking at Tom Holland elicits the same reaction from me. I feel literally nothing looking at Tom Holland. Like, he doesn't feel like a real person. And so if he's in the Odyssey movie, I'm not really looking forward to it. Is he Telemachus? No, or is he's not Odysseus, right? Because Odysseus is old, right? Like, he's not Odysseus, right? Anyway, learning things for your degree, amazing. Telemachus, thank goodness. Okay, phew. Okay, good. We all need to leave for 3 months. No, stay here, have your own conversation. I'll get there eventually. It's wonderful. Only dropped for a second. Okay, good. It was your Wi-Fi. I don't know what you're talking about. The light isn't flickering. The painting, there was never a painting there. And the encyclopedia. I used to love a good atlas, I gotta be honest. Ugh. I would just stare at a map. Didn't help me at all. I'm terrible at geography, but I loved a good atlas. The Farmer's Almanac. This makes me sound like I was born in the 1940s, which maybe I was. I loved the Farmer's Almanac as a kid. Publishers hate libraries. Yeah, that's not surprising, honestly. Adagio, you have to support what is wrong with— no, I'm sorry, hold on. Let me cool down. You still have to support libraries. The system is not not supporting the library because of the system is not helping the library. The library is trying to help us. We support libraries. I'm surprised Nintendo— yeah, God, I used to love checking out Switch games. I never did finish Skyward Sword. Baldur's Gate, right, Deeded? I want it because it gives you so many options for, like, really good role-playing. Which, of course, then leads to you making decisions that you're unhappy with, because that's life, isn't it? Yeah, we need libraries. We need libraries. You play role-playing games and deliberately choose bad options and then wonder why it's going so badly. I miss the days when I could just play a role-playing game and choose whatever option felt like the most fun in the moment. That's how I used to play games. Now I have this moral, like, burden on me. I feel like I have to make the right decision. Oh, the germs? Oh no, not the germs. Not the germs in the library books. Oh, don't make me think of that again. I have accepted him. He's fine. Like, he's great, honestly. I really can't complain about him at all. He's, like, probably one of the, like, best guys she could have ended up with. But still. Speaking of Matt Damon, he is in the Odyssey. That's who it is. That's who it— Matt Damon's in the Odyssey. Because he's, like, a Christopher Nolan guy. So he was in Interstellar. And no, not Interstellar. He was in Oppenheimer. I've never seen Interstellar. I've never seen any other Christopher Nolan movies, but I know that Matt Damon is one of his guys. You don't like him? He looks like a politician. Yeah. Why does he care if I think Matt Damon is attractive? True. Literally, why? It was a very weird conversation. Oh God. He looks like a scurvy politician. Zendaya is so pretty, but I also, like, don't get— I don't know, maybe it was just I haven't seen her in that much. She was in Dune, which I hated, and she was in Spider-Man with Tom Holland, so maybe his, like, utter nothingness rubbed off on her. I haven't seen Euphoria, so I don't know. She's probably really good in that. Yeah, Tom Holland looks like he swallowed a frog, exactly. He looks like he's always holding a frog in his mouth. It's really funny. Used to stare at the dots that made up the cities in this— do not leave you alone with a star map. Martine, you should play Dragon Age. You should play Dragon Age. Oh, not the Almanac. That's so funny. The Farmer's Almanac. Yeah, you both got it. That's amazing. Wait, he's Odysseus? No. No. No, you're lying to me, right? You're lying. You wouldn't say that to me, right? You wouldn't do that to me, right? Matt Damon is Odysseus? No, this is so upsetting. You're kidding me, right? No. No, no, no. No. Oh, and it's coming out at like a year. How is it coming out so soon? It's coming out like a year from now. Okay, you know what? This actually makes me really upset. This is terrible. Although the cinematographer who works with Nolan did a really good job on Oppenheimer, gotta say. Ludwig Göransson, this is so upsetting! Wait, this is so upsetting. Ew! Ew! Matt Damon as Odysseus? No! I hate to say it. I hate to say it because this is gonna make me sound like an utter snob. But, like, isn't Odysseus supposed to be smart? I just don't understand. How on earth does this movie already have $1.5 million in pre-sale tickets? It's coming out a year from now, and it has already made $1 million? I'm so upset. And Anne Hathaway's Persephone is kind, not Persephone, Penelope. God, I keep doing that. That's kind of killer, actually. Unless she's playing Cersei, in which case that's also kind of killer. Charlize Theron, Lupita Nyong'o, Robert Pattinson. I would watch Robert Pattinson do. Robert Pattinson should probably be. No, he's too weird to be. But Odysseus is like not supposed. I don't know. Oh, Charlize Theron is Cersei. Okay, Theron, is that her name? Theron? I don't know how to pronounce her name. John. Oh my God, Benny Safdie's in this. Wait, no, he's someone else. I was thinking of someone else. Sorry, I'm just looking at the cast for this movie now. I'm really upset. I'm so upset. Woo! Okay, it's fine. We're fine. It's fine. It's fine. I have a lot to catch up on. All right. Understand why people care. Huzzah! Okay. Hello, can everyone hear me? Is anyone here? You're back. Okay. Martine, can you tell me? I'm still 5 minutes behind on chat. Can you tell me who? Oh, I'm dropping frames again, like crazy. This is so unfortunate. Well, we're still alive. Okay, we're still alive. It's fine. Yes, I won. So what happened just there, I had to end I just had to stop the stream really quick because Matt Damon came to my door and I had to punch, so here's what happened. Nobody say the name. Once more into the breach, dear friends. Once more. So we stop up the wall with English bodies. Anyway. So anyway, Matt Damon tripped on, he tripped in the mud, got stepped on by a cow, and now he won't be in the Odyssey, and it's gonna be Oscar Isaac instead. Anyway, Martine, what movie were you watching with him where he was trying to get home for several years? Was that Spider-Man? Wait, we're so far behind. Yeah, so this really was like, okay, The Hunger Games, Matt Damon's in The Hunger Games? Crazy. Isn't Odysseus supposed? I suppose it's why it's called acting. Robert Pattinson's a really good actor. Yeah, and make it art house. I'd love to see art house Odyssey. I don't want to see big blockbuster Odyssey. That's the thing. I want to see weird, like, I want to see like a, what's his name? Robert Eggers or Roger Eggers? I don't remember. I want to see like a weird Odyssey. I want to see a Sam Raimi Odyssey. You know what I'm talking about? Like, I want it to be weird. Because the Odyssey is weird. Oh, picture of Dorian Gray, yeah. That was a very cool production. It would have been nice if anyone Greek was in the production, you know, something to consider. Just anything, you know. Sorry, Damon, we're not interested. Christopher Nolan, it's not happening. I don't even know what Christopher Nolan looks like, I'll be honest. Should have left you on Mars. And see, that's the thing. Oh, and that's what The Martian was about. You're right. Okay, I remember this now. I was gonna say, and this is exactly what I told the boyfriend. I liked the Martian movie. So it's like, okay, I'll give you that, Matt Damon. You were good in the Martian movie. I thought the whole movie was very good. But that was then and this is now. All right, Matt Damon is the new Macbeth. Maybe if we say Macbeth a lot, it will save the stream. No, I had to kill the YouTube stream. I guess I'm gonna stop doing the YouTube streams. They don't seem to be working. Who is his nemesis? McDavid. Oh my god. None of this is true. Maybe Ben would help us out. Ben Affleck is someone— I'm caught up with the chat now, by the way. This is very exciting. Ben Affleck is someone— No, he's not. Oh, darn it. He is back. Shoot. So it's not even YouTube's fault anymore. Just OBS. Alright, I'll stop saying his name. Fine. Are you happy? I'll stop saying the name. I was gonna say Ben Affleck is— I don't know what Ben Affleck looks like, and I'm too afraid to ask at this point. I actually don't really know who Ben Affleck is. I know he played Batman? Yeah, maybe it is an hour early. My network— probably what's happening is my ISP is rate limiting me, and they're like, you don't usually use the internet this early, therefore you can't. I'm like, yes, that makes sense, and that's why I pay you ridiculous amounts of money to give me nothing. Thank you. Very helpful. Anyways, how long have we been going? Wow. We've made it a whole 10 minutes. What time is it? 40 minutes. Excellent. Like, I don't know who Ben Affleck is. Oh, he's the exhausted smoking guy? Wait, that's Ben Affleck? This changes everything. No, he's not the duck, is he? I know the duck. I'd be able to identify the Affleck duck in on the street. I would not be able to identify Ben Affleck on the street. Because I never saw the Batman that he did. And I don't know literally anything else he's ever done. Like, has he ever done anything else? I also wanted to show you guys this really cute— the background music for today's stream is brought to you by a random YouTube channel. And I wanted to show you it's really cute, actually. I could probably leave it. It would probably be a much cuter background than whatever the heck I've got going on right now. Window capture, new window capture. Look at how cute this is. Should probably like credit them if I'm gonna use this more often, but here, let me go all the way. Look, now all of our friends are just floating. I have to put it in front of oh no, Ren is still floating. That's okay. It looks like Ren is sitting on the taxi cab now, which kind of works actually. Alright everyone, I need just a minute to get centered. Oh, no, wait, chat disappears. Oh, wait, no. Why did— oh, chat looks like that because it's the— oh, I get it. Oh, okay. Hold on. We can make this work. Properties. Filter. We can make this work without making chat look terrible. Actually, everything looks terrible. Okay, hold on. I think this would be really cute. Okay, Luma key. Nope, terrible. I'm just always looking for more ways to make the stream worse, you know? You know what it is? How cute is this? Let me go to the fireplace. How cute! Pokemon thing's kind of floating randomly in the middle of nowhere, but... Oh, man. Okay. Did I just park your desk on someone's... Ignore the pancakes in the background. Just ignore it all. Just ignore the pen, just ignore the tea. It's fine. I'm little. Like when you think of it this way, I'm only about 2 feet tall, right? Maybe like 1.5 feet. So this desk is tiny, you know? Oh my god. All of this was strenuous. I've had a lot. I feel like I've already been on an emotional journey today. We haven't even played the game. The thing that's upsetting is I just finished listening to Epic. For those of you who are fans, which I think a lot of you are. And so I feel like I just sort of relived the because I've never read the Odyssey, obviously, but I've read, you know, the individual sort of vignettes, and I know the story of the Odyssey. And after listening to Epic, thank you, Martine. I feel like I went on that journey again, and I was thinking about Odysseus and how, like, utterly, the whole story is just, it's so horrible. It's really so horrible because the man is just trying to get home. It's not very similar. I know the Epic, like I know the Odyssey already. And so listening to Epic just reminded me of it. Because he's trying to get home, you know? Like, he was away at war for 10 years, which, yeah, was his fault for going to war, and the whole fight, the whole Trojan War is very stupid. Most wars are pretty stupid. But, you know, he's away for 10 years. And then all he wants to do is get home to his wife. Like, he is literally just a loyal husband. And, like, does he cheat on her a couple times? Well... But the point that I'm trying to make here is that imagine, like, for 10 years you've been fighting a war. You finally win, you're done, and then you're like, I get to go home to my wife and my child who doesn't know me because he was a baby when I left? And then because you pissed on the stream is dying again. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. We're back. Are we back? Everything's fine. Anyway, I'm gonna call it here. This is the end of the stream. You know, I don't know what I was going for. It's really hard to stream when your Wi-Fi decides you can't stream. And I know I'm not making it up because you've all been here week in and week out. And you've seen it happen. Like, sometimes we just have a perfect stream, right? And nothing happens. And then sometimes the universe decides that I can't stream. Anyway, he convinced Helen's father that in order to marry Penelope, everyone not marrying Helen should swear an oath to go to war should anything. Oh my god. Oh, is that how it started? Wow. So it is all Odysseus' fault, actually. I just think Odysseus should not be Matt Damon. I'm just upset about this, I think. I think Odysseus should be someone who looks more tortured. You know? And boom, everyone had to go fight Troy. All because of an apple. No, that was a different story. I should probably refamiliarize myself with the Trojan War. I keep forgetting. I always forget who Agamemnon is. And then I keep forgetting who kills whom. This is part of the Iliad. Yeah. There's Ajax and Hector and Paris and Achilles and the Patroclus and the Folks, if you like Greek mythology, you should really read Son of Achilles. And Cersei. Madeline Miller is an excellent, excellent author. And the books are really good. Speaking of apple, I want an apple now. Maybe I'll go get one. Sorry, I just got absolutely deflated by my Wi-Fi. I'll perk back up in a minute. The way to propose via apple? Wait, elaborate. What do you do? Do you hide the ring in the apple and then hope they don't choke on it? That's the thing that always stresses me out when you hear stories of people proposing, like, in food. Aren't you worried? Rings are very small and swallowable. And wouldn't you feel so bad if you were trying to propose? I mean, that's on you, right? But oh my god, and that would hurt going down. Yikes. I had all sorts of, the person you want to propose to, you toss an apple. And if they don't like having fruit thrown at them, then they're really not the one for you. If they can't, what if they're really bad? Okay, Martine, but what if they just aren't coordinated and they drop it by accident? What does that mean? Yeah, let it fall. What if they just drop? Exactly. What if they just drop it? You know, not all of us played baseball as kids. Or what if you're really bad at throwing? I have terrible aim. And what if you accidentally throw it off to the side? What if somebody else catches it? Or what if you hit them in the face? See, you know, it's the kind of thing that sounds cute, but when you think about the logistics of it. Rings should not be in food. This is true. I don't know if I'm making that up. I feel like I've heard something about people proposing in food. I don't know. It could be, that could be just like one of my nightmares. You would practice. Oh, so this is for the public presentation. Yeah, what if there's a great in Mythic Quest? Caitlin, do you remember in Everlight? Or no, is it in Everlight? But there's a scene where Poppy tries to throw a ball at Ian and he catches it and he whips it back at her and knocks her over. It's like it's a softball, don't worry guys. Not a softball, but like actually soft, don't worry, he doesn't kill her. But that's exactly what I'm thinking. Like, what if somebody catches it and just hurls it back at you and then out you go. Good morning, Waffles. How are you? How you doing? I'm really bad at throwing. What if I threw a frisbee instead and they caught the frisbee? Does that count? Or is that kind of like a platonic life partner deal? Like the apple, that's for marriage. Frisbee is for, you know, anyway. You could come up with a whole language of throwing things. Is that that's what you were imagining? Perfect. Okay, that's what I was thinking too. And the stream's dead again. Should I restart my router? Yeah, Daja, I hope he had a good stream. I hope he's having fun. If he's still going later, we'll definitely raid him. But yeah. Are you sure they accounted for these things? Nice. Finished building set for the next show? What is your next show? Wait, do we know this already? Did you already tell us? I'm sorry. I'm sorry if you did tell us already, but I would like to know. Do not throw a discus at people. Cut off their head. What story is that in? Someone's definitely killed someone by throwing a discus at them. If I throw a tomato at you means you're unfunny. I like to think about early modern England, as you all know, and how tomatoes would not have been exceedingly common back then because they were imported from the Americas. So I think they would call, I think they would throw cabbages instead, probably, or like rotting lettuce. Which, as you all know from a previous stream, is one of my worst nightmares. If you ever threw rotting lettuce at me, I would cry. I would jump off the stage. If someone threw an apple at you to propose, you'd be less focused on the proposal, more focused on why they were throwing fruit at me. I'm sorry we ruined your proposal, Martine. I think it is cute. It is cute in theory, but it's the kind of thing where you gotta discuss it. Why everyone in Europe was hilarious, right? And then they got tomatoes, and then yeah, we said the same. Yeah. Perfect. Same thought. Right? Everyone was so funny until the tomatoes came around and then suddenly the plague. Desvelado. What is that? I don't know that show. Not my cabbages! You know, I will say, I don't know if anyone here watched the live action remake of Avatar: The Last Airbender, and I know we're all opposed to live action remakes here, but I did watch it, and it was surprisingly not terrible. Because they were telling a different story, and some of it was bad, and some of it was okay. But the best thing about the live action Avatar remake was that they got the original voice actor for the Cabbage Guy to come back to the show as Cabbage Guy. So it was really, it was very sweet, actually. Other than that, the kid who played Aang was so cute. Your proposal? It was Greece. Well, I'm sorry, all of Greece. But maybe they should think these things through. Where are apples native to? I guess they had apples in ancient Greece. I never really thought about this. That's interesting. Did you see what the actress for Toph said about Toph? No. I only saw the first season. Well, I think only the first season was out. What did she say about Toph? You don't know, you have yet to see the script, but you're almost done building the set. Hold on. You just finished building the set, but you don't know the script? Waffles, how does that work? Enlighten me. I'm not very theatrically minded. You caught sight of a few Snow White clips and it was so bad. I mean, yeah, I heard it was really bad. I don't even know if I saw I think I saw the trailer for it. And I will say it did a very effective job at what trailers are not supposed to do, which is making me never want to see that movie or any movie ever again. I did see the funniest clip of Rachel Zegler though. She was talking to a reporter, I think after opening night or after some performance of Evita on the West End. And Andrew Lloyd Webber like photobombed the interview and he gave her like a one-of-a-kind vinyl recording of the cast album for the show, and he was so, like, Andrew Lloyd Webber, I don't know what, he always gives me kind of slightly evil vibes. Like he does feel like if he was an actor and not a composer, he would be playing like James Bond villains. But he was very sweet to her and she was adorable. She was like so starstruck that he was giving it to her. And then after he left, to the reporter, she was like, "Did you get that?" It was so cute. Ajax, stronger than all of Greece. The best marketing slogan you could ever possibly have for cleaning fluid. Love it. She said she's making Toph less of a tomboy because she was a cartoon and we all have to grow up sometime. What? So what she's saying is she's playing a different character who's not Toph? Like, what's the point of playing? What? Why? Also, that's not your decision. That should be the director's decision. The whole point of Toph's character is that she hates like, she hates the person her parents are trying to make her be. Like, she doesn't want that. That's the whole point of character, but that's fine. Like I said to no one here, but people who make remakes of things, be it a movie or a revival of a musical that nobody asked for, people don't understand, especially when it's a beloved movie or revival of a musical that nobody asked for. People don't understand why, like, the people who are making the remake, even if it's the same people making the remake that nobody asked. Anyway, sorry. But the thing is, like, people don't seem to understand why people like whatever the original thing is. So I think a lot of us, sometimes I wake up in a cold sweat thinking about the idea of a Vertigo remake. Which terrifies me because the reason Vertigo works is because it was made under uniquely horrible conditions by a uniquely horrible person. Like, you don't want anyone to ever remake Vertigo because Alfred Hitchcock was a psycho. Haha. Wait for it. Wake up. Yeah, and so you don't want to remake the movie. And so it's like, okay, so now you're saying, okay, but what if we wanted to remake the movie without all of the mistreatment of our actresses and without the gross age gap and without blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, you're missing the point of actually what made the movie good. And that's the thing about the live action Lilo and Stitch movie changing the ending. Or about making Toph less of a tomboy in the Avatar remake. Or about whatever. It's like, you don't seem to understand what was good about the source material. You know? It takes place in a bedroom. Okay, so you built a bedroom. Excellent. Everyone is just getting bad live action remakes these days. What are you following, Dean? What are you watching? What thing that you love is someone destroying right now? It's a 3-part name in the way the syllables come together. Oh, I don't remember what we were talking about. Oh, Andrew Lloyd Webber. Yeah. Maybe? I think so. Apparently you're not a real woman if you like mud. Yeah, that's why everyone goes to the spa. Any Avatar adaptation. And that's the thing. I think so often it's just like remakes will never be good. Adaptations are, I mean, but I get the thing about an adaptation is I like adaptations because there have been so many good movies made out of books. And musicals made out of movies. And books made out of video games made out of books. And like, adaptations are a wonderful thing. But remakes are dangerous territory. I really do think. Yeah, exactly. Like, Mike and Brian left because they didn't like what they were doing with the remake. So, yeah. Yeah, Martine, and that's why the thing about the Wheel of Time show is that it was completely different from the books. And it was lovingly made. It was gorgeous. And it was so clear that they knew they were doing something different and they were excited about it. And I was excited about it. And so of course Amazon canceled it. The Wheel of Time show was actually turning into something truly special. And they canceled it so they could make more Rings of Power with people in plastic armor. Did you see, Martine, did you see the costumes in Wheel of Time? Have you seen any of that? That show was something special. In fun news, I met my new neuro-oncologist, Waffles. Is that fun news? I hope it's fun news. I hope they're able to, like, help. You know, I hope they're able to work well with you. It's exciting if they're good. I hope they're good. You'll never forgive them for the remaster of Lord of the Rings. I was trying to get a friend of mine for a birthday recently. I was trying to get them I wanted to get them the complete extended editions of Lord of the Rings. Because I knew that they had they had Fellowship. I was like, well, I don't really want to get them the complete extended editions because they already have Fellowship and that's just too many DVDs that they already have. So I was trying to get the second and third ones separately. I think I ended up just getting the complete edition, but I did so much research at the time of the different remasters of Lord of the Rings and the Blu-ray versus the DVD and the 2004 versus the 2007 or whatever. And it was so crazy. I was like, wow. Even making the same movie, but just doing the color grading different, like just re-releasing the same movie. There's so many things that can go wrong. Crazy. Boo, Andrew Lloyd Webber. Oh, deleted the Omniscient Reader's Viewpoint. Yes, you've told me about that. Concept of loving a book so much you has the main character hate the novel and give guns. It sounds like the person who's creating this live action remake hates the novel. That's actually kind of terrible. I'm so sorry. That's horrible. That's the worst. I mean, they've completely just reversed it. That's terrible. Oh my god. Omniscient Reader's Gunpoint. That's terrible. Wheel of Time was so good. It was so good. And I hate the books. Like, you all have to understand, I read all 14 books and I hated them. And the show was doing something different. And I was with it. I was on the ride. I was like, all right, this is different from the books that I had Stockholm Syndrome with for 2.5 years. And that's okay. And then they canceled it. Lockwood & Co. I can't even bring myself to watch the first season. Because I know I'll get sad. But if you think it's worth it anyway, I might. Costumes everything looks so bad. Everything looks so bad. I know, the Rings of Power, the costumes are so terrible. The costumes are so terrible. Oh, she helped! Oh, Waffles, that's great. Okay, I'm so glad. I'm so glad a doctor's actually helping. Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. I'm so afraid of the Greta Gerwig Narnia adaptation. Because it's obviously not a remake, because it's a book that she's making a movie out of, and just because there was another movie that came out 20 years ago based on the same book, like, okay, you know, people are allowed to make adaptations. But those Narnia movies, Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, it had that perfect magic, like, just sort of the crystallized I mean, it was just the music, the costumes, the environments, oh god, the casting, the kids were so good. I love them. I love them. Need 4 MRIs. Oh, good luck. Hopefully it's covered by insurance. MRIs are scary. Yeah, Dashu, isn't that all of Greta Gerwig's movies are just surface level white feminism? One of the 4 kids left to do politics? What? Like, actually? Like, they're not acting anymore? I love those kids. Horse and His Boy. Oh, that would be wonderful. Did you guys know, did anyone here ever watch, there was like a Prince Caspian adaptation in the 90s or something? I have not watched it. I don't know if it's any good, but I am so tempted. I want to go back and rewatch the Narnia movies, like the most recent ones. And then I kind of want to I want to reread the books. But the white ladies love Greta Gerwig. I've never seen, have I seen a Greta, did she do Barbie? I saw Barbie. Skander Keys is a Tory? Yeah, unsurprising. That's always where Edmund was heading. Wait, is he really? That's so sad. Hold on. Now I gotta look at where are they now. Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. Oh, the book came out in 1950. That's crazy. William Moseley played Peter, and now he is he the one who's off doing politics, or is it Edmund? What's he up to these days? William Moseley. He was in a non-Disney Little Mermaid. Interesting. No, he's still acting. Wait, so then are we talking about Skander Keys? You never knew which party? Oh, he's a politician. He went to Cambridge? God. His great-great-great-grandfather is Charles Darwin? What? Great-great-great-grandfather Charles Darwin. That's insane. Oh, his mother was Lebanese. Wow. And his father was a British author. I'm losing my mind. He's descended from Charles Darwin. That's wild. Oh, wow. And his maternal grandfather was an advisor to the late Tunisian president. Sorry, I'm just looking through his, I'm looking through his Wikipedia page now. I want to see where it says he's a Tory. His acting career began when he was 9 years old with a role as a boy in rags in the Royal Shakespeare Company production of Macbeth. As a boy in rags, who would he have been? Fleance? Or one of Macduff? Was he Macduff's son? Or was he just a random kid? He performed his own stunts. Wait, okay. Politics. Advisor to Crispin Blunt, British Conservative MP. Oh no. I'm just reading this dude's Wikipedia page now, sorry. He's been working as a political advisor. It does sound like he's working for, yeah, as he swaps films for Tory politics. Narnia child star Skander Keynes looks like this now. What does he look like now? He looks the same. He looks like himself. And he's a Tory. Oh, well. Do you still have Disney? They did an X years later thing where they brought back a bunch of the cast. Oh, I'd have to watch that. It's a shame. I've always felt slightly uncomfortable about Matt Smith now, because he's kind of a Tory. These kids are educated and also very much part of the old family line heritage. Yeah, it makes sense. A boy in rags. He played football with Freddie Highmore. Oh, wow. He had a big Narnia phase. They all went to acting schools or had connections. You wanted to believe they were just magically chosen. Oh. Why is everyone a Tory? Yeah, Matt Smith. Sorry to burst anyone's bubble. Let me double check. Let me fact check this. But I'm pretty sure he is. He has been for a while, I'm pretty sure. That's why I'm always like, listen, I like, you know, he's a good actor, but I don't really follow him because I don't really want to know what he's talking. You know, I don't really want to know what he's doing in his free time. You have to separate from actors. Oh, it's not on his Wikipedia page, so he's not like actively, you know, he's not in politics, but I swear he's come out as he said things. Okay, well, he hasn't said anything big enough for it to be on Wikipedia, but I'm just pretty sure he is. You want to be magically chosen? I know, I feel like when I was a kid, I also had that thought. I was like, maybe I'm a good actor and I don't even know it, you know? I was thinking that. I was like, maybe one day someone on the street will say, like, you're perfect for this role that yeah, you know, it's like, you don't even have to audition, just come along. And, you know, we want you. And I was like, cool. I guess when I was a kid, I used to want to be a voice actor. And so I think I always had this slight dream that someone would just say, like, oh, your voice is what we want. I'd be like, wow, just me? Sorry for the stream, guys. I might restart my router modem. Right, I might restart my modem. We're not doing so hot today. What time is it? Well, it's like normal stream time now, so maybe I'll end the stream, I'll restart, and I'll come back and we'll play the games. Yeah, that's the thing. It's really hard to become an actor if you don't have that financial cushion and all the connections. You worked so hard at English to not sound dreadfully German. You never know. John Hamm was a teacher until, you know, his late 30s. What do they say? Morgan Freeman's big break was in his 40s? Nepotism in community theater is silly. It's like, guys, we're just here to have fun. We're just trying to have a good time. What's the point? That you're a bad actor, now people tell you could have been an amazing vocalist? What this could have been, Waffles? You could, if you wanted to do it, I'm sure you could start now. But also that's the thing, it's like, it's so hard to know. You know, it's like, I feel like there's just so much luck in life, and there's so much serendipity. You have to be in the right place at the right time for so many things, right? You never, I feel like every time you talk to someone who's in, like, I remember I was talking to someone, some game developer at a convention a few years ago. When they tell you the story of their career, you're like, man, that's crazy. How did you get there? And they're like, well, I just sort of, you know, ended up here. And they explain all these different steps that got them there. And you're like, yeah, I guess it just kind of happens. Right? It's like, some things you just sort of, I mean, I'm not saying they don't take work, but I'm saying you might never realize Like, I remember I took a linguistics course in college, and I had never known anything about linguistics until that point. And I took that class and it just opened my mind, you know? I was like, oh, I could go in, I could be a linguist, which obviously I'm, you know, I don't know what I would have done if I had pursued that dream. But it's the kind of thing where you don't even, I think there's something really beautiful about how you don't even know right now something that might define you as a person in the future. Like, I never studied Shakespeare professionally or, you know, academically. Which always makes me laugh, and always when I tell people that, you know, people who know me for Shakespeare are always like, what? You're not an English major? And so it's like, you never actually know who you're gonna be in the future. And you never know what that defining moment is gonna, you know, is gonna be for you, because it hasn't happened yet. So I feel like there's always something to look forward to, I hope. But I don't know, it is crazy. The world is a crazy place. And like, and that's not to say you don't miss opportunities, right? I probably could have been a really good figure skater, but that ship has sailed. Or a gymnast, right? So it's like, there are some doors that do close forever, but there are a lot of doors you haven't knocked on yet. So that is my sappy soapbox moment of the day, which I like better than the nihilism of previous streams. Some people started late, but you wanted to be Katniss? Oh man. Yeah. Can't believe Jennifer Lawrence got there first. So if you get discovered when you're 60, you'll look 15. Incredible. Adagio, that's something to be grateful for. Child labor machine to absolute public breakdown. Yeah, you do have to feel really bad. I feel so bad for all those child stars. I'm actually really excited. This is so silly. I'm so excited for Freakier Friday, the Freaky Friday sequel. I know I just went on a whole rant about how remakes are bad and live and what all, but like, I love the Freaky Friday movie. And Lindsay Lohan has had such a tough, you know, she's one of those like child stars whose whole life, I mean, she's had a really tough life. And you're like, oh, she's a celebrity, but it's really hard when you are exposed to all of that at such a young age and when there's so many expectations placed on you. So I'm really excited to see the movie and see her come back to it and hopefully have a good time. Because it's just absolutely brutal. I really don't think, like, I saw a picture of Vivian Lyra Blair recently, who played Princess Leia in the Obi-Wan show, and she was adorable in the show, and she was literally, I think, like 8, maybe 10 years old. She was very young. She's a prodigy. But then this picture I saw of her, I was like, what? She has her ears pierced? Or like, I don't know what she was wearing. And it's like, I know people get their ears pierced as babies, that's not the point, but like the look of it, I'm like, this is a literal child. And the same thing happened in Stranger Things for Millie Bobby Brown. It's like, you have literal children going around dressing like, it's just, oh god, it's so difficult. I would never wish that on my worst enemy. Adagio stole your youth. Oh my goodness. No, Martine, it was Adagio all along. Figure skater, yeah. Professional track. I mean, and it, you know, it could have been great, but it also could have been physically debilitating. Ballet dancers have to retire, you know, in their mid-30s. Usually due to injury, so. You used to be a gymnast? It was a lot of fun. I did it when I was very young. But I got scared. Miley Cyrus, Britney Spears, oh my god. It really is so horrible. I mean, the Disney child star machine. Truly, truly terrible. Millie Bobby Brown, yeah. I remember seeing, and I never watched Stranger Things. And so I was just seeing it all from the outside. And you just have to, I mean, I feel like, especially like going through puberty in the public eye is probably a deeply traumatic experience, because it's already hard enough when the only people who are there to witness it are your, you know, schoolmates and family and things like imagine you have to go on publicity tours and act, and like when what you're selling is yourself, and then you're going through, oh god, it's just horrible. I couldn't imagine it. I'm so glad I have a profession and a hobby that doesn't involve me being on camera. I love that I don't have to be on camera. That's kind of crazy that I can stream and not have to be in the quote-unquote public eye for all, 5 of you. Thank you for being here, but still, and it's like, I'm so glad my job doesn't involve that. Because it's really hard. Hindsight is worth a lot because look at you now. Yeah, it probably worked out for the best, in a way. I mean, it's sad to think about. I think a lot about, all the things that I wish I had done or I could have done or, but I feel like usually, this sounds so sort of saccharine, but I feel like things usually go in the right direction, like things usually work out. You moved to martial arts, that's fun. I always wish I had done martial arts. Actually, I found out one of my coworkers has multiple black belts. She did karate. Or taekwondo? I'm not sure actually. But she said she had multiple black belts. We were all slightly scared. Hands the umbrella stand, still contemplating bringing. Yeah. So it's like, you do what you gotta do to get by. Right. Another few dozen kids. Oh god. Oh god, don't talk. Oh, not the Harry Potter remake. Not the Harry Potter remake. Yeah, look at poor Daniel Radcliffe. Oh my god. Poor Emma Watson. I mean, I think she's managed it okay, but like, I always thought about when she went to college. Could you imagine? Like, you can't have a normal life. Oh man. A lot of adult life is learning to grieve the could have beens. Yes! And I like to say there's my incredibly trite mantra. I like to say, if it could have been, it would have been. Because I think you can spend your whole life mourning possibilities that didn't happen. But, what is the point of that? You can't go back and change it. You cannot change the past. So instead of mourning the would have beens, like celebrate the what were, celebrate what was. If it would have been, it could have been. If you I hate the word would. Oh, I would have done this if only, or it's like, it's you, for me, because I feel like I hit a wall at one point where I was just constantly thinking, man, this should have been different, or I would have done this if I had known better, but you didn't know better, and there's no should, like, the conditional tense is one of the most toxic mindsets you can have, right? So it's like, throw out conditionals. The past is what happened. You are doing what you can right now, and the future hasn't happened yet, so it's like, you do what you can. And you enjoy it. And if you're not enjoying it, then you try to change it. And if you can't change it, well, then you hope that you can endure it until things get better. But it's like I don't know. I hate the word would and could and should. I hate the word should. Should is a heavy word. You only have one black belt, Waffles. That's still more black belts than most people have. And that's still impressive. Yeah, it doesn't mean they ever should have had to, right? It's like, no kid should ever go through, no person should ever go through what, and especially with Harry Potter, you look at everything those kids went through, and now, and they still have the wherewithal now and the moral backbone to speak out when J.K. Rowling is, making the world a worse place. So you gotta give them credit, right? There's a button poetry video out there about the word almost. I don't know what button poetry is, but that sounds cool. Do you know? Can I find it? I'd love to see it if you can find it again. Button poetry sounds very charming. But yeah. I'm gonna make a throw pillows or one of those live, laugh, love signs. And it'll say, if it could have been, it would have been. and then I'll get all the white moms to buy them. So I think it's first of all, it rhymes. Second of all, it's a very helpful mindset. It's helped me come to peace with a lot, I think. Because I think sometimes when you're in a difficult situation and you think to yourself, well, why am I struggling so much with, especially when it's something that you think you should be, like, there's the word should, right? You're like, I should be handling this better. But, like, you're not. And so there's no sense thinking about, well, I should be. It's like, okay, well, you're not. So either you try to handle it better, in which case there you go. Like, you're making a concerted effort to change. Or you look at how you're handling it now and you're like, well, this is how I'm handling it now, and if I can't do it better, then this is the best I can do. It's like, it's just that it is so antagonizing to say, to go around saying I should be doing better. It's like, well, okay, then do better, or learn to be happy with how you are doing it. Because I think you can very well be your own worst enemy. This is for all the people out there that have negative self-talk. This is for you, all right? If you think you should be doing something different or better, do it, or don't, and learn to be happy with that. And I don't mean this in like a dismissive way, where it's like, oh, I should, it's because I think you have to learn how to accept your own capabilities in life. And so that's the thing, Martine. I'm not saying like, well, if you can't do something, then you're bad. Like I don't mean it like that. And also, this doesn't work for everyone. This is just what it is for me, which is why I'm not a licensed therapist. But I think what I'm trying to say, and maybe I'm not getting this across properly, but it's like, because I think I was stuck in a spiral for a while. Like, this was a while ago, but where I got to the point where I was like, well, I can't do better than I'm doing right now. So I can either spend my life hating myself for not doing more than I'm doing, or I can learn to appreciate that what I'm doing is the best that I can do, right? I think I got to a point, what was the other thing I said? I said if it could have been, it would have been. There was something else. I feel like I came to a realization a couple years ago. I don't remember what it was now. I had all these little quotes that I came up with, which was very silly. But so it's just like the idea of that. I think what I'm going for here is be an ally to yourself. Like that, at the end of the day, that's what it is, right? I think like you should always be your own biggest cheerleader rather than your own biggest detractor. Because I think for me, I was like, and for a while I was in a really good place in my life, but I was like, and so I was like dragging myself down, right? You never want to do that. I know that everyone knows this, right? And it doesn't help for me to say it, but so I'm done. Like, I just think it's so worthwhile to take the time to be good friends with yourself, right? Like be your own best friend. Which again, that's another really trite, like, white mom throw pillow. But sometimes they make a good point. So anyway, I'm getting very preachy now, so I suppose I should stop. We can probably switch over. Does it? I hope so. It helps me to say it. If it doesn't help anyone else, it helps me. So that's something. And if you can't help, that's another thing, I think. If you can't help anyone else, you can at least help yourself. And by helping yourself, you are helping other people. Because if you can't help other people, it means you're not in a position to. So you need to help yourself first, and then you can help. And then helping other people is what life is all about, Anyway, we should probably play the game now before I go into therapy talk that I'm not qualified to give. Yeah, so I think probably put on your own oxygen mask first. Exactly. Like, you really do. It's not selfish to take care of yourself, because if you are not taking care of yourself, you can't take care of anyone else. So you just like, it is necessary, right? That's how a community works. It's like, in order to help people, you have to be in a place to help people. Oh, did you send the link? I'm so sorry, I missed it. Okay, yeah, I'll get it. Also, I wanted to give a public service announcement while we're on the subject of me being obnoxious. Just for folks here, I want you to know, if you are clicking share buttons on social media, this is just, and you can ignore me, but it's just something I've seen a lot, and I just want to make sure people know about it. When you click share on Spotify, on YouTube, on Instagram, on Twitter, on Facebook, on whatever platform you use, you may notice that the share link looks longer than the actual URL, especially if you're on YouTube. So like Martin sent the URL. But if you hit share on YouTube, yeah, the tracking thing, I want people to know about this. So if it's on Twitter, so if you see like in the URL, after the question marks, people know about this already. Okay. Then in that case, I don't want to see them in my server anymore. If everyone knows. But I'll say just in case you don't know. After it, like for Instagram, I think it's like the IGSH, so Instagram share. For Spotify, it's like an SI thing. For Twitter, it's like a T query param. If the link is really long and has some kind of random query param and then a random string of letters and numbers after it, that is how they track you, right? Yeah, so just in case, and I know it is a little bit of a hassle to have to shorten the URL manually because websites make it so much more annoying now. But just in case you don't like being tracked on the internet and you don't like your friends and people you send links to being tracked on the internet, I would encourage you, as you go out into the world, when you're sharing links with people, either remove that, try to like copy the link directly if you can, because I don't click on links anymore. I copy them and paste them separately without the tracking parameter. Just so that they can't, like, because that's how you get really creepy, like, recommendations of, hey, you should follow this person that I know you know, even though you don't follow them because you shared a link with them one time. Or this is, let me advertise this particular thing to you that your friend was looking at because we are now tracking them as well as you. There definitely are extensions for it, yeah. But I think a lot of the time it happens on people's phones where, like, if I share I'm trying to share a YouTube video from my phone and you just can't copy the URL, so it just automatically adds that. Anyway, internet safety PSA of the day. You are the product that websites are selling, so. On that happy note, I think we could probably, yeah, it's really annoying, but it's worth it, I think. Any attempts we can do to stymie big tech making our lives worse, it's worth it. Yeah, but I'm gonna end the stream here. Yeah, exactly, perfect timing. I'm gonna end the stream here. Are we back? Okay. I'll put it in chat too. I'm gonna end the stream, restart my modem, and come back in a little while with Claire Obscure. Hope to see you soon. Perfect, Adagio. That's exactly it. Okay. Alright, so I'll see you all in a little bit. Sorry for the internet troubles and all the weirdness and, just what it is. So I'll be back. Go get your tea and snacks and everything. We'll be back with Claire Obscure in a little while. So, bye!